Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Keith Andrew Network. This is episode 248. I am your host, Keith Andrew. Along here with Edward Dennis. I just want to say thank you for being a guest on my talk show.
Well, my pleasure there, Keith. 248, is that what it is?
Yep, 248.
Wow, you've been busy.
Well, I originally was up, there's a long story about it, but I was originally up to 300, and a lot of people were backing out of it. You know, they just thought it was a waste of time, or they were making excuses. So I had to do it over. When I was doing it over, I was like, just do it right the first time, Sign a permission slip, you're saying, you're giving me permission, can't get out of it.
I feel that, a lot of people get camera shy, basically, And I'm kind of there too as well as far as being camera shy. If I don't have a script in front of me, if I have a script in front of me, I'm okay. If I'm teaching a class or something, I'm okay. But when it comes to I'm going to talk in this in this camera, I might have a little bit of problems. I guess a lot of people might feel that way. They get cold feet at the last minute.
Well, it's not really cold feet. It's more of, I thought the interview would help me with my career, or my manager and my agent said you were degraded. If you didn't like the video quality, it was such stupid things like that. That's why I had to do the whole thing over.
I saw your show and I looked at a few interviews and I said, this is a very beneficial thing that you're doing, and that's why I'm doing it. I loved the interview between you and my wife. That was I thought it was incredible. It was a nice thing going back and forth and stuff. And
which one was your wife again?
Oh, you don't know? Anastasia. Now, there's a blank look on your face.
I'm not good with names. If I don't talk to them on a regular basis, the names is
No, you got Anastasia Edwards.
Okay, yes, I remember.
Remember? And you were offered to maybe have her as a co-host and stuff. Yeah, she's absolutely incredible. I just got off the phone with her just now. She just got a shot at doing Chicago PD tomorrow. So that's going to be kind of exciting for her. She says, "Oh yeah."
I remember the name now. It takes me a couple minutes, but yeah, she was great. She was a lot of fun.
Yeah, she is. She looks. It's really funny though. What time of the day did you do that interview? Because I wasn't home at the time, so.
It's Chicago, right?
Yeah, because it looked like she had these sleepy eyes, or something. Like it must have been early in the morning or something.
I think it was about 12 my time, 11 maybe.
You mean in the afternoon? Not the afternoon. You mean in the morning or something? Or in the evening?
Well, I don't do any interviews in the morning. I'm not really a morning person, so it had to be sometime like early afternoon.
Yeah, she's an incredible person. But anyway, I'm here. What would you like to know?
Well, starting off, what can you tell us about yourself?
Oh, geez, you want me to get started? I'll be going for hours here or something. I guess keep in mind or something the concept of the show. I thought it was sort of important too. I mean, I really love the concept. Concept people that overcome challenges and things of that nature and something. And I think I've been fighting challenges, one after another for a while, even coming back to when, I didn't start, I started out coming from a very challenged environment, as far as socially, economically, whatever. A lot of alcoholism in the family. My mother had a problem with that. God bless her soul. And so it was pretty challenging to the point that I lived on the street for a long time. I actually lived in hallways. Yeah, I mean, going back to before I went out on the street, I would go to school with my feet would be hitting the pavement because I would have no soles in my shoes, and And in fact, I was just running across a picture of me back then when I had ringworm, like, dirty clothes, everything, everybody around me at the school, they have nice ties on, whatever. And I look at that picture, and one time I was very embarrassed by it. And today, based on everything that I've accomplished, over life or something, I look at it very proud, of that picture back then. But it was a tough time, whatever, and getting through, even when I was younger, I got thrown out of all kinds of schools. They would throw my books out in the hallway, I couldn't get a mark, I couldn't get a passing grade, fighting my way through, kids making fun out of me at school, because of the way I was dressed and whatever, and not very well. And then one day, a nun, I've had like a couple of pivotal points in my life, and one day a nun came up and she took some interest, and she said, you can make your name mean what you want it to mean. And I said, oh yeah, right. Everybody's against the Fogell to mean what? And so, no, you can change what it meant to me. I said, well, I have that power to do that. And she said yes. And I remember this event because it was very, so much has spun off of that. So I remember when the priest would come around and he would hand out report cards, and there was an A there. Not just a passing grade, but an A. And you would walk up and he would come to the classroom, pass out the report cards, and he looks at it and he calls the teacher over the nun and says, is this right? And she said, yeah, and he calls up to me and he shakes my hand, he pats me on the back and stuff. And I felt so good about that, that turning point that I really tried. I think today, when I look back at it, I don't think I really, in other words, deserved the A in as much as I got, everything right, more so that I think it was an incentive that she did. And so I wound up being a straight A student, after that. Now, I was still getting in trouble and everything, when the kids making fun out of me or something, but it was my secret, that I was a straight A student and stuff. And then when I applied to go to high school at a high school that they start out with 1,200 freshmen, but they only graduate like 60, class of 60, with 3 to 4 years. And every semester, you took your books home, and they would send you a letter to see if they would accept you back. And every semester, I would. In other words, if you got 10 demerits, from screwing up or something, you would your name went before this committee that would vote if they have you back, and I would get like 80, and they would have. I heard that they would have arguments. And some teachers would threaten to quit the school if I came back, for another semester, okay? Because I still got in trouble. Now, I used to have contests with the teachers if they could give me a test I couldn't get a perfect score on, right? And I would have these contests and stuff, and that was my grades that actually kept me in there, right? Otherwise, I would have been toast or something. And I would come back, teachers would say, Ed, you got to cool it this semester because, teachers are threatening to quit, or something. They have you back. Because I was still rebellious. I still had this chip on my shoulder, rebellious against authority. And I still wasn't going to school with, the nice clothes that all these other kids wear. And I was still getting in fights and all this kind of stuff. And but I had the secret that got me through. It got me through high school. Being after high school or something, of course, I had still had some issues with, home issues and everything, and I kind of like joined the Army after that. It was like, it wasn't like running to something, it was running away from something, basically. And so I went into the Army, and I went to Nam, went to Vietnam, was in Korea. And I went ahead and I was stationed here in Chicago after that Criminal Investigation Department of the Army, CID, and I was living at home, and that was kind of nice. Then it was time after the Army to go out and get a job. Okay, now get a job. I must have had 15 jobs, okay, and I never held a job over 2 weeks, okay. Sometimes it was a week, okay, but I never held a job over 2 weeks. And I was the authority thing or getting on time or something, but I couldn't deal with authority or working with someone else, or it could have been something else, because, you know, you get the subliminal message, but things that happen in you know, that you're impacted, like a legacy or something.
Right.
And one legacy I remember my dad would say, he'd say, my sons are never going to punch a time clock. Okay? And maybe that was running around in my head. I really don't know. But when I would get a job, for instance, I get a job at the stock boy at the clothing store, and my dad would be so furious, he would go over there and create this big stink, you know, in the store, that the guy would, you got to let me go, you know, or something. And then I went to Riverview Park, amusement park. He would go over there, you know, and I'd get fired or something. But I would be fired a lot of jobs on my own, you know, or something, you know, not just crediting everything to my dad, until I got into music. Okay? And that's where, you know, I gravitated to, and I started, you know, that seemed to be a niche, you know, entertainment. And I think because I was so starved for love, you know, for my entire life or something, that I just couldn't. In other words, it was a place that you could be loved by the masses.
Right.
And I just was eating that up. Okay, and I got into music, and I put a lot of bands together, and it would break up, put it together, break up, or something, and each time you put one together, I had a sense of logic going on, in the sense of my dad, God bless his soul too, that things, for instance, he would put me under a car, and he would look at a universal joint, and he would say, change that. Okay? And I would look at it, what the hell is it? You know, I'm telling you, 9 years old or something, he wants me to do, you know, be a mechanic. And I'd say, well, what is it? He said, don't worry what it is. He said, I want you to change it. How you do it? He said, you figure it out yourself. I said, here's all the tools you need. He said, if you're going to hurt yourself, I'll be here to make sure you don't hurt yourself, but you figure it out. And he would do things like that. And that kind of legacy carried me through to a whole bunch of stuff with saying, figuring things out, working things out, you know, and reasoning, you know, the sense of reasoning. In all different aspects. I mean, I'm an electrician, I'm heating, electrical, air conditioning, you know, rehabbing and all that kind of stuff. I do my own work now today, you know, on buildings. I got several, you know, pieces of real estate, etc. And I owe that to him. At the time, I didn't want to do it, but, you know, that legacy in your brain, you know, sits there. So you carried on in other aspects of life, such as, you know, for instance, I'm doing music, I'm putting it together, and I'm figuring out what's wrong. What is it that I need to do, you know, to change and be, you know, better? And I would do that. And then I finally got to the point where, after a long history of that I had a 12-piece group. I was up front singing, and I had 4 girls behind me. I had a whole, like, 3 horn players, a whole rhythm section, and I was Mr. Wonderful. Up front of all of it. And I used to open up for the Jacksons. I would open up for Wheeler, Tyler, and Lester. I opened up for Bilkridge Boys, Donna Summers. We do concert stuff. As a matter of fact,
it's 4 o'clock.
I never really had a record, but that's another story. But we were well known in the industry, where we would get musical manufacturers of equipment that would want me to endorse their stuff, and that's what we used to do. But yet we didn't have a record. But about 3 times, maybe 4, for what it counts some of the time, I was actually offered a record deal to be a recording artist. And I still had going on in the back of my mind an inferiority complex that I was fighting that I didn't realize. Okay, they would offer me to come down and record. They give me your card and stuff, and I always said, yes, I'll do it. Okay, yeah, I'm going to do it. But I always found a way to be too busy. Okay, because if there was still something going on in the back of your mind, it's very difficult to shake sometimes. Where I didn't understand it at the time, but studying acting, of course, if you study acting the way you should study it, you become like a mini psychologist, right? And you start seeing your destructive behavior patterns and whatever. And so what was going on at that time is that I didn't realize until studying acting, as I look back at it, that I had this inferiority complex.
Excuse me, now needs your attention.
Well, we'll get to you later. Where what I had going behind me is that I felt that I was fooling the public. In other words, that they were actually listening with their eyes, right? Because I had this big show, and I really wasn't a good singer. I didn't have confidence in that, right? So I figured if I got into the recording studio, I would be discovered as a fraud. Okay, but actually that was untrue. Okay, basically it's really untrue. So that I had that problem, going on for me. I would even look at tapes when video cameras became affordable to the public. One time you needed $5,000-$10,000 to have a video camera. Everybody's running around with these little Super 8, film things with 15 millimeters. So when video cameras became affordable to consumer, and I started videotaping my performance, I would notice that I would always be singing with my eyes closed.
Right.
They would be closed all the time, like an ostrich sticking their head in the sand and nobody's going to see you. So and I was really shocked over that. There was never one time I was singing that my eyes would be totally closed. So there's all these. It's the inferiority thing, a feeling that you're not, you're trying to punch through it, and then came some other influences in my life, which was my wife who had passed away, and I think she taught me how to really love, okay, love yourself, and extend that love, whereas. When I was doing the band thing, whatever, and I was sort of a loose cannon. I mean, all these women, flocking around me. I mean, we're talking 2 or 3 a night or something, like this kid in the candy store type of a thing. And even then, that was not fulfilling as much to me a sense of self-worth, okay? Because I would think that these women, they were just looking at a human being that was under the image that I was projecting. Where this woman actually accepted me for me. And before such time, you have this inferiority thing going. You have this beautiful woman, or something that you're with, that's attracted to you, and then you feel that they're going to fall in love with you or something. You find a way to destroy the relationship because for 2 different reasons. One, you feel if you get too close, she's going to know that you're a worthless SOB. You have shit going for you. I mean, that you have no substance. Or 2, that any woman, that could inside you didn't have confidence who you are, and any woman that would love you couldn't be worth much. You see what I mean? But they were associated, and that's a sad thing, but it's something that goes on. And studying acting and running into my 3rd wife. Okay, I've been married 4 times. Running into my 3rd wife, but she was the longest. I was married to her for 38 years. My first marriage, I was married for. I got married the same day I went to Vietnam. No honeymoon, no sex before marriage, nothing, because everybody wanted somebody you could write home to. So being a change when I come by. You know, it's such a change to do. And when you come by, the marriage was over before I even came back. So it was over within a month after that I came back. So it really wasn't really married more than a month. My second marriage, I went out with her for 2 years, and then after we got married, it was over in 4 months. And then when I met my third wife, third wife of 3 was a charm. I mean, it was 38-year love affair, so cancer, finally got it. But I got into acting. And how I really got into acting was I kept getting offers to be a recording artist, and I couldn't run away from it anymore. Right? I couldn't run away from this thing that kept chasing me. So I said, I'm going to do it. So the band that I had was not one of these democratic. We all vote. No, they worked for me as employees. Okay, they got paid if they played or not. So I would tell them, let's go. We're going to go into a studio and start recording, and they want to be paid. And I said, well, I'm not going to do that. I said, this is for all of us to move up the ladder. And they didn't do it, so I had to cut them loose and put them out, in other words, on the road without me. And I stayed behind to start gearing myself actually to be a recording artist. But remember I said the fear that I had of being discovered as being a fraud, okay? Well, I tried another trick. What I did was, instead of promoting myself, I went and found a band called Final Touch. And they were a very good group, and I figured I'm going to be their manager, and I'm going to send them ahead as being my buffer in the recording. I'm going to practice with their career, to know the business, because I was getting into strange waters anyway. So I got them a deal with Motown Records, and I was really good at producing, in the studio, engineering the record and stuff. And they broke up. By the way, they would not accept the deal because it meant going to Motor City and whatever. So all my efforts just went out the window. But having a quick reputation of being a good producer, a group called Jewel contacted me. They wanted me to produce them. So I did. I did it for them, and I got them like a couple of releases on Billboard, and then they broke up. Okay? And they started thinking, they said, God, bless it, this music business depends on too many people. I said, I need something else. So I said, well, what else could I do? I want to be an actor. Okay. I want to be an actor. So I figured, okay, well, all I have to do is just put my, go out there and put my name out there, and I'm going to start acting. But so I figured, well, I'm going to go see an agent, which was Shirley Hamilton. So I got on this elevator going to Shirley Hampton, one of the biggest agents at that time in Chicago, and there's this woman on the elevator with me, and I'm making fun out of Shirley Hamilton, and stuff while she was whatever. Am I talking to strangers? Okay, so I get off the elevator. She goes one way, I go the other. I go in Shirley Hamilton's office, and they said, well, we need an appointment. I said, well, we have an appointment. Well, Shirley, I can't see you. So I started walking out, and she called me back. She said, well, Shirley said that she'll see you. So I walk in the office, and that was her in the elevator. I was making fun out of her, and that was Shirley Hamilton, okay? So she hit it off and got funny. So she puts me on to this, this guy called Ted List, which is one of the 5 top acting coaches at the time, and I figured I'm going to go there for 8 weeks, and after 8 weeks, I'm going to go out and be a big star, right? So I was also had the inferiority thing going again, at that time. So I told my wife, I said, hey, would you like to be an actress?
Do I know we're wrapping up on time?
Oh, okay. Well, I was getting to where I am today. Well, today, Today, I own the Chicago Actor Studio. I will own Complete Video Services, a film production company, and Worldwide Entertainment. I book bands, I book karaoke and DJs, and I teach acting. And what I got going right now, so we can go to the present, is I've just been cast in Conrad, which is a TV pilot coming out, and I got the title role as Michael Conrad. And October, I'm going to be gearing up to a series that's going to be shot in Chicago, a Netflix series that's being co-produced by Clint Eastwood, and I have a recurring role in there as a mob enforcer. So that's what I'm at today. So I think you should just ask some questions now. That you shouldn't have asked me to tell me about myself.
Oh, absolutely. Now, wrapping up, it was our interview segment. It was a real honor and privilege to have you as a guest.
Well, thank you very much, Keith. I have a concept that I deal with life now, and it says that the things, good work we do for other people is the rent that we pay for being here. I don't think that we're here to serve ourselves, more so to serve each other. And I think a lot of it is also stems from that one day when that nun gave me that, planted that seed, back when I was in grade school, and moved on, and it just kept growing from there and there and there. And I hope that message gets across.